As you might recall from our Bible Backroads series on the Gospel of John, an ossuary was a carved stone box where a family could store the bones of deceased relatives. These were used in and around Jerusalem until 70 AD, so they serve as valuable evidence for people of the New Testament period. Next up, the Book of James. James was the leader of the church in Jerusalem during the middle of the 1st century. He was also known as the half-brother of Jesus and author of the book with his name on it. According to both the 1st century New Testament writings and the 2nd century church leaders, James was named an apostle and a bishop, and along the way, he got the title James the Just. But as the saying goes, things were not always thus. And James the Just, it turns out, started as James the Skeptical. According to the Gospels of John and Mark, James initially did not believe Jesus' claim to being the Son of God. Perhaps even thought he was crazy. That is, until James interacted with Jesus after the resurrection. And then everything changed. By about 44 AD, James was recognized as the leader of the church in Jerusalem. There are a number of New Testament references to James. There are also 2 important historical references to James outside the Bible from the 1st and 2nd century AD, Josephus and Hegesippus, who both recorded the death of James by martyrdom. The Roman historian Josephus, writing in the late 1st century, placed the time of the killing of James in 62 AD. His account states that James was stoned in Jerusalem for allegedly breaking the Jewish law. The church historian Hegesippus, writing in the 2nd century, recorded that James was preaching that Jesus was the Messiah during Passover. The religious leaders in Jerusalem, incited by Ananus, the high priest, got angry and threw him from the top of the temple. Apparently, he was still alive after the fall, so they beat him with clubs and stoned him, even while he continued to pray. Recently, an artifact related to James appeared on the antiquities market. It was displayed at a major museum and analyzed by scholars around the world. This artifact is known as the James ossuary. The James ossuary is a limestone burial box from Jerusalem made before 70 AD and inscribed in Aramaic with the phrase, James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus. Although a possible connection to James the Just seemed obvious, a team of scholars from the Israel Antiquities Authority claimed that it was a forgery. The artifact then became part of a long and highly publicized antiquities trial and academic debate, resulting in a series of detailed studies of the ossuary. Eventually, many scholars concluded that the artifact is authentic and probably the burial box of James the Just. This included analysis across specialties in archaeology, geology, and epigraphy, the study of ancient inscriptions. As you might recall from our Bible Backroads series on the Gospel of John, an ossuary was a carved stone box where a family could store the bones of deceased relatives. These were used in and around Jerusalem until 70 AD, so they serve as valuable evidence for people of the New Testament period. Just like the Caiaphas ossuary, discovered in Israel in 1990, turned out to be remarkable evidence for the historical figure Caiaphas, the high priest during the trial of Jesus, the James ossuary would be the same kind of evidence for the historical figure James the Just. James the Just has been considered the author of the Book of James since the early Christian era. Nobody knows the exact date when he wrote the biblical letter, but a time soon after the Jerusalem Council in about 48 AD seems the most likely. This makes James one of the oldest books in the New Testament. Oh, hi. It's TV's Dave Stotts, and I'm here to tell you to hit the thing and make sure you ring the thing. for more of Drive Through History, because that's what we all need.